Hola, estudiantes. Today we're going to talk about the present progressive. In Spanish, the question is ¿Qué estás haciendo? In English, the question is what are you doing? We're going to use the verb hacer, which means to do, and we're going to add an ending to it that makes it doing. So in Spanish, it's haciendo, and in English, it's doing. ¿Qué estás haciendo? Present progressive is a description of what is happening today, at the moment, right now. It's the present, it's the ongoing present. In Spanish, you would say ahora mismo, and in English, you would say what's happening right now, ahora mismo. The present progressive has two parts in Spanish. It has a form of the verb estar, and if you remember, the forms of the verb estar are estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. And then you also need a second verb. The second verb, if it's an AR verb, is going to drop the AR and add an ending of ando. And if it's an ER or an IR verb, it's going to drop the ER or IR ending and replace it with yendo, yendo. So if you haven't done so yet, you might want to pause this video and take out a piece of paper so that you can make some notes. This particular slide is a really good place to stop and take down some notes. So let's go ahead then and look at some examples of this. If, for example, you wanted to say, I am walking in Spanish, you would need to use a form of the verb estar. The one that means I am is estoy. Then you would want to use the verb caminar, which means to walk. But you have to take off the AR ending, and you have to replace it with an ando. That would be the ing. So you have the stem plus ando, and now you have a new sentence, estoy caminando, which means I am walking. Here's another example. You are eating. So let's use the informal for you are. So let's use estás plus the verb which means to eat, which is comer. Take off the ER, and then you're left with the stem. And since it's an ER verb, you're going to add yendo to the end. So you would say, estás comiendo. You are eating. Estás comiendo. Here's another example. We are living. We are living. Estamos is how you say we are. And then to live is vivir. Take off the IR and replace that with yendo because it's an IR verb. So you have estamos viviendo. Estamos viviendo. She is reading. To say she is, you're going to use está. The verb for to read is leer. Drop the ER off of the end of it, and you have a really short stem, LE. Since it's an ER verb, you will add yendo to the end of it, and you would end up with está leyendo, except that in Spanish, when you have E, I, E, three vowels in a row, you need to make a change and change the middle I to a Y. Está leyendo. Did you see how that happened? We began with L-E-I-E-N-D-O, but we changed the I to a Y, and it became leyendo, and that's the way to spell that word in Spanish. Está leyendo. She is reading. So here's a note. In English, you never leave out the verb to be. You would never say he eating. You would say he's eating or he is eating. They are running, and you wouldn't say they running. Same thing goes for Spanish. You can never leave out the verb estar. Yo estoy comiendo, not yo comiendo. Ellos están corriendo, not ellos corriendo. You always have to have the verb estar in there to make it a present progressive tense. So let's do a little bit of practice. He is running. Remember, you're using a form of the verb estar. Está plus run is correr, drop the ER and add yendo. Está corriendo. We are talking. We are is estamos. To talk is hablar. Since it's an AR verb, you need the ending ando, but you have to drop the AR and replace it with ando. Estamos hablando. They are dancing. Están for they are. To dance is bailar. And since it's an AR verb, you'll be replacing the ending with ando. Están bailando. So here's another note. In English, the present progressive can be used to talk about actions in process and a future action. So it's okay in English to say, I am working tomorrow or later. In Spanish, you can't use it for that. You can use only the present progressive for speaking about something that is happening right now at this moment, ahora mismo. So just to wrap up, remember the present progressive has two parts. You need a form of the verb estar, and you need a second verb, and then you need to replace the AR, ER, or IR with ando or yendo in order to say what you are doing at the moment, ahora mismo. Adiós.